There comes a moment in life when a person quietly pauses and begins to question everything they once took for granted. In the rush of daily routines, responsibilities, and distractions, it is easy to move through life without ever asking the deeper questions. Why am I here? What is the purpose behind my existence? Is everything around me simply coincidence, or is there a greater meaning behind it all? When a person sincerely allows themselves to reflect on these questions, something profound begins to happen within their heart. The noise of the world fades and a new kind of awareness begins to rise, one that awakens faith in a way that feels immediate and undeniable. When you truly look at the world around you with a thoughtful and open heart, it becomes impossible to ignore the signs that point toward a higher power. Consider the vastness of the universe, the countless stars scattered across the night sky, each following a precise path without collision or chaos. These are not random occurrences. They move with a balance and order that reflects perfect design. The same precision exists within our own bodies. The human heart beats tirelessly without conscious effort. Blood flows exactly where it is needed, and every organ performs its function with astonishing accuracy. Even a single cell carries complexity beyond human comprehension. When a person reflects on these realities, they begin to realize that such perfection cannot exist without a creator who designed it with purpose. This reflection is not limited to grand, distant phenomena like the stars or the universe. It becomes even more powerful when a person starts noticing the subtle signs in their everyday life. Think about the times when you faced a problem that seemed impossible to solve, yet somehow a solution appeared when you least expected it. Recall the moments when you felt completely lost, but guidance came in a way that felt almost too perfect to be coincidence. These experiences, when reflected upon deeply, begin to reveal a pattern. They show that there is a force guiding, protecting, and providing in ways that go beyond human control. Many people go through life attributing such moments to luck or chance, but reflection changes that perspective. It allows a person to connect these events to something greater. When you begin to see that your life is filled with moments of unseen help, your heart starts to recognize that nothing is random. Every delay, every hardship, every unexpected blessing carries meaning. Even difficulties begin to look different. Instead of seeing them as pointless suffering, you begin to understand them as part of a larger plan, one that shapes you, teaches you, and brings you closer to your Creator. This kind of reflection creates a shift within the soul. Faith is no longer something that exists only in words or traditions. It becomes something deeply personal and alive. It moves from being something you were taught to something you have experienced. There is a powerful difference between believing because you were told to believe and believing because you have seen the signs for yourself. The latter creates a certainty that is far stronger and more lasting. When a person reaches this level of awareness, their connection with Allah becomes more intimate. It is no longer distant or abstract. Instead, it feels close and real, as though every moment carries His presence. You begin to notice His mercy in the smallest details, like the comfort you feel after distress, the opportunities that come at the right time, or even the peace that enters your heart without any clear reason. These are no longer overlooked as ordinary experiences. They are recognized as signs of divine care and wisdom. Reflection also brings clarity to the purpose of life. Without it, a person may feel lost, chasing temporary goals without ever feeling truly fulfilled. But when you understand that you were created with intention, your perspective changes. Life is no longer just about success, wealth, or recognition. It becomes about growth, connection, and fulfilling a higher purpose. Every action begins to carry meaning, and every choice becomes an opportunity to align yourself with what truly matters. One of the most beautiful aspects of reflection is that it can happen anywhere and at any time. It does not require special conditions or extraordinary circumstances. It begins with a simple willingness to slow down and observe. When you take a moment to look at the sky, to feel the rhythm of your breath, or to think about the journey of your life so far, you open the door to a deeper understanding. In these quiet moments, the heart becomes more receptive and the signs become clearer. As this awareness grows, it naturally strengthens faith. You begin to trust more deeply, not because you are forcing yourself to, but because you have seen enough evidence to feel certain. Doubts that once seemed overwhelming start to fade, replaced by a calm assurance. You no longer feel the need to question everything with anxiety because your heart has found its answers through reflection. This transformation does not happen all at once, but even a single moment of genuine reflection can have an immediate impact. It can shift your perspective in a way that changes how you see everything around you. Suddenly, the world feels more meaningful, your experiences feel more connected, and your existence feels purposeful. This instant shift is what makes reflection so powerful. It does not require years of study or complex understanding. It simply requires sincerity and attention. Over time, as a person continues to reflect, their faith becomes stronger and more stable. It is no longer shaken easily by challenges or doubts because it is rooted in personal realization. This kind of faith is resilient. It does not depend on external circumstances because it is built on an inner understanding that remains constant. In a world filled with distractions, taking the time to reflect may seem difficult, but it is one of the most valuable things a person can do. It reconnects you with your purpose, strengthens your relationship with Allah, and brings a sense of peace that cannot be found elsewhere. It reminds you that you are not alone, that your life is not without meaning, and that every moment is part of a greater design. When you begin to see life through this lens, everything changes. The ordinary becomes extraordinary, the random becomes purposeful, and the unseen becomes deeply felt. Faith is no longer something distant or uncertain. It becomes something real, something you can feel in your heart with clarity and confidence. And in that moment, you realize that strengthening your faith does not always require grand actions. Sometimes it begins with something as simple as pausing, reflecting, and truly seeing the signs that have always been there. Faith is not something that remains the same in every stage of a person's life. It is something that is tested, shaped, and strengthened through experiences. Many people think faith grows only in moments of peace, when life is easy and everything is going according to plan. But the deeper reality is that faith often becomes most powerful during moments of difficulty. It is in times of stress, fear, uncertainty, and loss that a person discovers the true strength of their connection with Allah. When everything around a person feels unstable and confusing, and they still turn their heart toward Allah, something profound begins to happen within them. There are moments in life when problems feel overwhelming, when the future seems unclear, and when solutions appear out of reach. In such times, a person may feel alone, even in a crowded room. The human heart naturally searches for comfort, guidance, and reassurance. Some turn to people, some to worldly distractions, and some to their own limited understanding. But there comes a point where human support and worldly solutions are not enough. It is in that moment of helplessness that a person realizes their true dependence on Allah. When they sincerely turn to Him with a heart full of need, honesty, and vulnerability, that turning becomes more than just a prayer. It becomes a deep recognition of where true help comes from. In these moments, something remarkable begins to unfold. A person may begin in distress, with a heavy heart and restless thoughts, but as they turn to Allah, even if their external situation does not change immediately, their inner state begins to shift. a sense of calm starts to enter the heart. It may not remove the problem instantly, but it softens the fear surrounding it. It replaces panic with patience and confusion with clarity. This experience creates something very powerful within a person. It builds a kind of trust that cannot be formed through words alone. It is a trust born from experience. When you were at your weakest and you called upon Allah and you felt that you were not left alone. Over time, these experiences accumulate in a person's life. They begin to notice a pattern. Every time they were in difficulty and turned sincerely to Allah, they found some form of relief, whether through a solution, a change in circumstances, or even just inner peace that made the burden easier to carry. This repeated experience slowly strengthens faith in a way that is deeply personal. It is no longer just something taught or believed. It becomes something lived and felt. The heart begins to recognize that no matter how difficult a situation may appear, it is never beyond the reach of Allah's mercy and help. But turning to Allah is not limited to moments of hardship alone. In fact, one of the most important aspects of faith is remembering Allah during times of ease and happiness. When life is going well, when success is achieved, when blessings are flowing, it is easy for a person to forget the source of those blessings. The human ego naturally begins to feel a sense of ownership over achievements, as if success is purely the result of personal effort. This is where remembrance becomes essential. When a person consciously turns their heart toward Allah in moments of ease, they protect themselves from arrogance and self-importance. In times of success, remembering Allah brings a deep sense of gratitude. Instead of feeling entitled or overly proud, a person becomes aware that every opportunity, every achievement, and every blessing is a gift. This awareness transforms the heart. It replaces pride with humility and self-centeredness with appreciation. A grateful heart is a peaceful heart. It does not become inflated with arrogance because it recognizes that nothing is truly earned without the will and mercy of Allah. This balance between turning to Allah in difficulty and ease creates a strong and stable foundation of faith. It prevents the heart from becoming extreme in either direction. In hardship, it prevents despair because the person knows where to turn. In ease, it prevents arrogance because the person knows where the blessing comes from. This constant awareness builds a deep reliance on Allah that becomes a natural part of life, rather than something occasional or forced. As this connection grows stronger, a transformation begins within the person's perception of life. Challenges no longer appear as meaningless suffering. Instead, they are seen as moments of growth, reminders, and opportunities to turn closer to Allah. Success is no longer seen as a reason for pride alone, but as a responsibility and a trust. Every situation, whether good or bad, becomes meaningful. Life starts to feel more connected, more purposeful, and more guided. One of the most beautiful outcomes of this continuous turning to Allah is the sense of inner certainty it develops. A person begins to feel deep within their heart that they are never truly alone. Even when there is no one physically present to help, even when solutions are not visible, there remains a quiet reassurance that Allah is aware, listening, and in control. This feeling does not always remove challenges, but it removes hopelessness. It allows a person to move through life with patience and trust, rather than fear and confusion. This certainty does not develop overnight. It is built gradually through repeated experiences of turning to Allah and witnessing His response in various forms. Sometimes the response comes as a direct solution, sometimes as unexpected help from others, and sometimes as a strength within the heart to endure what could not be changed. Each of these experiences adds another layer of trust, reinforcing the belief that Allah's wisdom and timing are always perfect. As this trust deepens, the heart becomes more peaceful even in uncertainty. The fear of the unknown begins to decrease because the person no longer sees themselves as navigating life alone. Instead, they see themselves as being guided and supported, even when the path ahead is unclear. This perspective brings a sense of stability that external circumstances alone cannot provide. Eventually, a person reaches a stage where their relationship with Allah is no longer reactive but constant. They do not only turn to Him when something goes wrong or right, rather they remain connected throughout all moments. This consistency strengthens faith to a level where it becomes deeply rooted in the heart. It is no longer easily shaken by external events because it is anchored in experience, awareness, and continuous reliance. At this stage, life itself becomes a form of remembrance. Every difficulty becomes a reminder to seek help from Allah, and every blessing becomes a reminder to be grateful to Him. The heart remains in a constant state of awareness, not out of pressure, but out of understanding. This understanding brings peace, because it removes the illusion of control that often causes anxiety in human life. When a person truly realizes that they are never alone, that every moment is within the knowledge and control of Allah, and that both hardship and ease carry meaning and wisdom, their entire outlook on life changes. Fear loses its dominance, and trust takes its place. Anxiety is replaced with reliance, arrogance is replaced with humility, and confusion is replaced with clarity. This is how faith becomes strong, not in a single moment, but through continuous turning to Allah in every state of life. It is through crying out in difficulty and feeling answered, and through remembering in ease and feeling grateful. It is through recognizing that every moment, whether heavy or light, is an opportunity to strengthen the bond with the Creator. And as this bond grows, the heart becomes firm, peaceful, and unshakable, carrying a certainty that no matter what happens in life, Allah is always near,